But yeah, I mean, it does feel a little shameless.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new Slumping Up video. I hope you're having a good day, because I certainly am. In today's video, we're going to be covering the fallout of Creator Clash 3 getting cancelled, and Anisa's response alongside a bunch more content to go over. Highly recommend that if you don't know what happened on the initial day when Creator Clash 3 got cancelled, and all of the fallout that took place on that said day, I'd highly recommend that you go and watch my coverage of that, and then come back to watch this video. But without further ado, let's dive straight into this with not Anisa's response, but I do actually want to take a look at some more fighter responses. Sapnap actually went on stream and spoke about Creator Clash 3 falling apart.
It's not like 100% waste. It's not 100% waste. But yeah, I mean, it does feel a little shameless.
I do think it's genuinely hilarious. Some fighters that really haven't spoken a lot about Creator Clash on streams or promoted it are now coming out to shit on the event and call it things like shameless, because ultimately that's what it is. It's completely shameless, because Ian and Anisa going into this knew that realistically Creator Clash 3 probably wasn't going to do the greatest, and how everything has been handled ever since then has been absolutely diabolically bad.
There's a lot of time and effort. A lot of time and effort. A lot of days I woke up and I didn't want to do that shit, that I fucking did it for no reason. But, I mean, it is what it is.
This is what I mean. I do feel bad for the fighters. I know lots of people have said people like Dad are money hungry, and, you know, all these content creators shouldn't have got involved after Creator Clash 2, which I do think after the failure of Creator Clash 2, that is a valid criticism. But I really don't think the large majority of the fighters on this event, there are of course a few, are these money hungry, disgusting content creators that really deserve to be completely shout on. They put a lot of time and effort into what they probably thought was a charity boxing event, when we all know that is so far from the case. I also quickly wanted to mention this interaction Sapnap and Tubbo had on stream, where they just said that they'd do their fight anyways.
You know what? I need
to
to.
say we did boxing bit ourselves.
We lost again.
Yeah, what's up, Tubbo? Fuck it, bro. Like, I'm down.
I'm so bad right now.
I'm down. Let's do it in my garage. No, we can do an actual one. We can do an actual one. I don't know if you're as disappointed as I am. I was excited to fight you.
I mean, Sapnap and Tubbo for this event was probably one of the bigger draws on side of Creator Clash 3, and I do think probably they did do this event themselves, or went and partnered with another company like Misfits, they'd probably make a pretty good fight of it. But we are not done with Tubbo and Sapnap in terms of this fight. Tubbo actually made a 5-minute video going over Creator Clash 3 and the cancellation of his fight against Sapnap. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Tubbo's video, I kind of want to be cheeky here and let you all know that I've launched channel memberships for £2.99 a month, and that will of course vary depending where you are. The Small Sloppers channel membership role will allow you to access priority reply to comments, photos and status updates, member-only polls, level badges, and custom emojis. Then, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted to go a step further, for £4.99 a month, you get the Super Sloppers role, which is member-only videos, exclusive videos of content that I might not necessarily cover publicly, member shoutouts towards the end of the videos, and member-only shorts, which is similar to the member-only video. There is absolutely no pressure to become a member. This is for people that just want extra content and extra interaction, and I wanted to let you all know. But without further ado, let's get back into Tubbo's response video.
For about the last year, I've been training for a charity boxing match. This boxing match was called Creator Clash, and I've been working on that for the longest time ever, just in the background, you know, punching, doing my thing. You know, I might be built like a stick insect, but I was doing my best. And then it gets more interesting, okay? It gets more interesting because the person I was supposed to fight on the boxing match, Dean Withers, he then drops out of the match.
I mean, not only I think that would be a hilarious fight, Tubbo versus Dean Withers, which one would you actually dislike more, but I find it hilarious that he dropped out. He absolutely escaped a bullet.
This fight was supposed to happen last month on the 28th. However, as you can tell, it clearly didn't happen. To begin with, this fight got pushed back to October 28, which sucked, by the way, and it just meant 4 more months of training and effort for this, and I was like, okay, we'll do 4 more months of training and effort, because eventually there'll be the payoff of the fight. But then, yesterday, news broke that Creator Clash, which is the charity event I was playing.
Fighters, content creators, and people alike desperately need to stop saying charity event. It's not a charity event, it's a for-profit with a Tiltify link attached. It's not a boxing charity event, right? Let's get that straight.
Has been cancelled. Everyone who bought tickets has been refunded. Thank you for the fighters for their hard work. Okay, this sucks. this blows. My immediate reaction was like, well, shit. Honestly, because like I just spent like the last year training for this fight, and that really sucked.
Even when it comes to a fighter and a content creator like Tubbo, as somebody who I personally dislike and somebody I've openly criticized on this channel several times, I do feel bad for him because it is a lot of effort to train for a boxing fight, and if he was genuinely training like he's saying he was training, I do feel bad for him because that's a lot of time and effort to go into something that's not happening.
I don't really have much more to say. And yeah, I wanted to basically just be like, sorry to the community, because I know that you guys were also very hyped to watch me fight in the boxing match, and I've done a lot of work with it, and I wasn't able to stream as much because of the amount of training I was doing, but it's cancelled. It's cancelled, and if you missed the chapter and didn't hear about the boxing match, then I guess this is new information to you.
And the fact you have to say that or preface that is so horrifically bad because that means your promotion of this event was basically next to nothing. I very rarely heard Tubbo talk about this event in a positive light. It was only when there was a major serious update he would cover it on stream, or when somebody would ask him how's the boxing training going and he'd kind of skirt around the question. There was no proper real promotion for this event. That's not something Tubbo is only guilty of. There are several content creators that were meant to be fighting on this event that basically did zero promotion for it.
Yeah, me and Sapnap were gonna fight to the death for charity.
Unfortunately, Tubbo, no, you won. There was just a charity link attached to it for a Tiltify.
Yeah. It got cancelled. Creator Clash probably isn't gonna be a thing anymore, which sucks, but what you gonna do? What you gonna do? It's out of our hands. It's out of our hands. However, the community was still very invested in whether or not me and Sapnap would fight because they want the drama, man.
I mean, it's not really unfortunate or sad that Creator Clash won't be a thing again. Creator Clash 2 was diabolically evil and Creator Clash 3 has just followed their pattern. The only one that went decently according to plan was Creator Clash 1.
Check the Twitter, I'm like, Creator Clash is cancelled. Ugh. And then all my community were like, no!
Look, this might be the retelling of events in terms of, you know, he knew it was cancelled beforehand, but the way he's describing it makes it very much sound like he had no idea this event was cancelled and he got home, he looked at his phone and went, oh shit, it's been cancelled.
So, I made this tweet, which I might regret. I said 100,000 likes on this tweet, and I'll host a boxing event myself. For those of you that don't know, I've been running quite a few events as of recently, and I do have connections to some existing boxing venues and some people that know boxing judges and stuff.
Like I said earlier, I think the Tubbo versus Sapnap fight is a pretty interesting premise, and I do think it's a fight that should definitely be invested in. I do think it's a fight that would be good on maybe a Misfits card or another YouTube boxing card, but I do not believe that Tubbo should be putting on this event. Please, we've already had one giant failure of a boxing event, we don't need another one.
A year of boxing training for nothing.
Yeah, that was Tubbo's video going over the Creator Clash being cancelled and his ridiculous idea of possibly holding a venue and a boxing fight if that random ass tweet gets 100,000 likes. But it isn't only Tubbo that's spoken out. Similar to last video going over this, more creators have spoken out about this. Chris Reagan wrote, the first event really was a special thing. I wouldn't have signed up for the second one if I didn't firmly believe that. The second one is when it started to fall apart. Very poorly managed, and 3 is just a shit show. Chris Reagan also put, sad but not surprising. My heart goes out to the fighters. I know how much work it takes to train for this stuff. I especially know what a curveball in the 11th hour feels like. You'll deserve better. It's a shame something that started so fun and promising turned out so sour. LA Beast wrote, the fighters are the real victims here. Lana Pierce wrote, since people are asking, I never had anything to do with any facet of the actual event or business side of this. Slash was in absolutely zero discussions about this stuff. Slash had nothing to do with the decision and definitely did not have any stake in the company. Don't know where that rumor came from. My involvement was really just trying to raise money for charity, which I'm still doing. I'm tentatively hoping to put together some kind of fighting game as an actual boxing or MMA games event in of Creator Clash 3 that can still serve to raise money for Stand Up to Cancer. I'm not being paid for this in any capacity whatsoever. I literally just a volunteer trying to do charity work for an event that failed at this previously. When I was a part of it, it doesn't sit right with me. I still feel I need to try to right the wrong, even if I'm aware it wasn't the fault of any of the fighters. I'm separately bummed for this year that the fighters who were trained for this don't even get to have their fights. I cannot even imagine how shitty atmosphere. Please, 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 can the people that were going to fight on Creator Clash 3 stop talking about possibly doing their own boxing events? Stop putting that on. Just if you want to fight and you want to raise money for charity, go and be part of a Misfits boxing event or another boxing event and then donate your funds to charity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Anisa, one of our favourite commentators and people ever, somebody I've definitely not criticised on this channel several times, Ludwig actually came out to speak about Creator Clash 3 being cancelled.
This has been dead for a while and like on life support. You know, this has been in a vegetative state. So it is, I think, ultimately the right call that they canceled it. Because if they had gone through with it, I think it would have done so bad. Ethan Klein did it. Okay. I'm not trying to be controversial here. But I do think iDubbbz posting the content cop was one of the dumbest moves ever.
An actual horrifically uncommon Ludwig W there, because I mean, genuinely, whilst Creator Clash 3 was always going to be riddled with problems, it was riddled with problems off the offset, especially with Creator Clash 2. The fact that they went into this knowing that, you know, this probably isn't going to do very well. It was riddled with problems from the start. The lack of promotion and everything going to this event, it probably wouldn't have been as successful whatsoever. It probably would have still lost money to a certain extent, even when, you know, they aren't giving any money to charities, just through a Tiltify link. But iDubbbz dropping that content cop escalated things and made it 10 times worse. Without that content cop dropping, it wouldn't be in the state that it's currently in. It would still be in a pretty bad state, but that content cop escalated things to a whole different level.
Was crazy. I think it was not considerate of how many other people would be dragged into the situation who don't give a fuck and just want to fight. You know, make that video when Creator Clash isn't happening, I would say.
I find it incredibly funny. Ludwig starts giving a reasonable take for once, and his entire chat turns on him and starts swearing at him like he said something so horrific. But anytime Ludwig gives an absolutely delusional take, everyone's there cheering him on. Alright, guys and gals, we've finally got to the bit that everybody has been waiting for, and that's Anisa's response on Twitter, because my oh my, she was having a breakdown last night. She starts it hilariously by saying, going to take this opportunity to promote Stand Up to Cancer Tiltify link. Money can still be raised for charity. And once again asking what my ultimate sin was aside from being married to the man who made the content cop on the king. Ethan doesn't know as well as he claims, especially not me. He's as knowledgeable about our private life as the average viewer. I've never mentioned CPS, I didn't appear in the content cop, only ever replied to Ethan privately with kindness, despite him spam texting us deranged nonsense. His inference that I have any control over Ian's choices is from watching SlopTuber's parasocial ramblings. Ian's a very smart and capable person who made a 7 million viewed video he's proud of. I think he'll be okay. Somebody responds by saying, so you think it's okay he laughed at the skulls and defended the CPS call? And Anisa responds with, this is waffle pancake thing bud. At this point, Ian needed to burst through a door and put her on a technology ban for like 24 hours because the next few stuff we're about to cover, including a huge Discord message, is just genuinely mental. Just want to make it clear that we haven't had any contact or control since we publicly stepped down. Even though me and Ian were the faces of the event, many people were behind the scenes making decisions together. The event wasn't doing well way before the content cop. A combo of many things contributed to that reality, including lack of promotion, influence of boxing being less popular, the economy, etc. And going into this event, these are things you would have known. The fact that YouTube boxing was less popular, the fact the economy is bad, the fact that over the previous events, promotion has been bad. Those are things that you, as somebody who is running this event, is meant to be working on. Going, look, if the economy is that bad, if YouTube boxing isn't where it once was, and we've got a problem with promotion, you either don't do the event, and if you do, you focus on things like promotion to make sure your fighters are genuinely promoting the event and fixing and improving upon that. These are things you'd know before going in to do a third event. Kind of excuses, yeah, the content cop wasn't making the event worse. The event was already doing horrifically bad and was doomed. I think what it boils down to is poor communication from everyone. Even after we left, which is unfortunate, at the end of the day, I care about people getting paid for the money that they were out for training and charity getting their money, and both of the things were done. Again, communication was a huge part of your job. I find this absolutely comical. And yeah, Creator Clash as a whole brand, the communication and transparency was just basically non-existent, but that was also one of your jobs, which was to communicate with the fighters, be as transparent as possible, and update them at least when you work there. It was my job to communicate internally numbnuts. Look, fuck? I'm even capable of smiling. How can you be mean to someone who can smile? It's also worth noting during her like weird breakdown she had on Twitter last night, she was also trying to go backwards and forwards with Ethan Klein, which just really didn't pan out for her. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and clear something up. Ian won't be happy I'm doing this, but I think we need more transparency. Ticket sales were abysmal before the content cop, promotion was going how we hoped, charity wasn't getting the numbers we wanted. This is not the defense you think it is. The content cop heavily increased the issues that were already present, but you defending it by going, no, it wasn't the content cop, it was actually just this event was already poorly run, and we were already catastrophically failing, really isn't the defense that you think it is. And the wording of Ian won't be happy about this, but I think we need more transparency is so horrifically bad, it's hilarious. We were promised a lot of things didn't happen. I take responsibility for trying to do it again. We shouldn't have, but I think we made the best of the situation. The charity got 225,000, and a lot of that was due to the buzz around Hassan supporting the charity. Then why did you try and do the event again? And it wasn't about the buzz of Hassan supporting this charity. It wasn't the buzz of, oh my god, Hassan is supporting this charity. If he made a tweet, it probably still would have raised a bit of money, but the fact that it raised as much as it did all comes down from the fact that he was reacting to a popular drama video against him by H3, a video that loads of people, including Hassan detractors, wanted him to watch. Charity got money, the fighters got paid, things didn't work out, the content cop wasn't some sudden turning point, the interest in Creator Clash was low. And like you said, you shouldn't have done the event in the first place if it was that low. And also in response to, you know, not saying that this was a turning point in regards to the content cop, I definitely do think it was. I do think it was a pretty big turning point, maybe not a sudden turning point, but it changed the board completely when it came to Creator Clash 3. He made a few more spurg tweets before following up by saying, to clarify, I'm saying Ian won't be happy to make it clear that this decision of making this public is my own and not his. I'm taking responsibility for the statement. Sorry for poor words. The thing's hilarious, right? Even when she does try and communicate, she's just absolutely botched it. That's all I wanted to cover in today's video, but I can definitely guarantee that there will be more backwards and forwards and more content to cover in regards to that, and I will do so on this channel when that does happen. As well, like I said towards the beginning of the video, I now do have channel memberships enabled. There are 2 separate tiers with different pricings, which you get different things for. Of course, there is no pressure for you to become a channel member. It's for just people that want extra content, extra interaction, and stuff like that. So that is there as an option, which I did genuinely want to talk about. But everybody watching, what's your thoughts on all of this? Please feel free to comment down below. And once you're done, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. But I've been your host, Samuel, and I will catch you in the next Slopic. Goodbye.